My name is Ethan Mercer. I'm 32 years old, 3 weeks ago, at 11:47 p.m. I collapsed at my desk. Hemorrhagic stroke. The doctors later said I was less than 48 hours from permanent brain damage. Or death. The hospital called my mother at 7:00 a.m. By 9:30, my parents and my sister were at my bedside. By 3:00 p.m. They'd decided my sister's wedding venue tour in Maui couldn't be postponed. By 6:42 p.m. They were boarding a flight I had paid for. I spent 7 days in the ICU alone. Or that's what I believed, when I finally woke up. The first thing I saw was the empty chair beside my bed. No flowers, no cards, no family. Just a folded blanket, a glass of water I hadn't poured, and a visitor log on an iPad. One name appeared every single night. Adrian Cole. A man I had never met. The first night. He stood outside my glass ICU door for 3 hours without going in, just watching. The second night. He sat beside my bed. He paid my entire $139,000 hospital bill in full and instructed billing to keep his identity confidential. When my mother returned from Maui and saw his name on the visitor record, the color drained from her face. She didn't look confused. She looked terrified. 32 years. That's how long she had been hiding something. I almost died. My family went to Hawaii. A stranger saved me, and my mother is afraid of his name. Every Sunday at 6:00 p.m., my phone rings. Not because my mother misses me, not because she wants to know how my week went. Sunday at 6:00 p.m. is expense report time. Ethan. She'll start. Her voice soft in that careful way she uses when she's about to ask for something. Your father's truck needs new brakes. That's $620. And Chloe's florist needs the second deposit, $1,850. There's always more. Electric bill, property tax shortage, insurance adjustment, and somehow, most of it circles back to my sister. Chloe's car payment, Chloe's maxed out credit card, Chloe's apartment deposit, Chloe's bachelorette trip, Chloe's dental veneers, Chloe's designer heels for networking, Chloe's $4,600 wedding dress. Then came the big one. She'll need help with the wedding fund, my mother said casually. About $25,000. You're her brother. It's what family does. I did the math while she spoke. I send $900 every month automatically. On top of that, the extras average another $2,000 to $3,000 monthly. 7 years ago, when I was 25, I started tracking it in an Excel file. At first, it was just to stay organized. Then it became something else. Proof. Every transfer, every loan, every emergency that wasn't. Every promise to pay me back that never happened. I scrolled to the bottom of the spreadsheet last month. Total sent $191,380. I make $128,000 a year. After taxes, around $96,000. I've been giving them roughly 20–25% of my take-home pay for 7 straight years. When I hesitated about the $25,000, my mother didn't yell. She recalibrated. You're the man of this family. Ethan. That one always lands. You don't have kids, you don't have a wife. Chloe's starting her life. Don't make me beg your own son. I'm not her son when she says that. I'm an obligation. Chloe texted me a picture of the Maui resort the day before I collapsed. Infinity pool overlooking the ocean. White sand. Private beach ceremony package. Isn't it insane, she wrote. Mom said you're covering the scouting trip since you can't come. Flights were $2,600. Resorts $3,400. You're the best brother ever. Total $8,200. I transferred it that night. After rent, utilities, and that transfer, my checking account balance was $4,310. 18 days until the IPO. 18 days until my stock options vested $280,000 if everything went through. For the first time in my adult life. I was about to have money no one could guilt out of me. I just had to survive 18 more days. That's the part that still gets me. I was financing their vacation, and I was about to collapse. I've always known I don't look like the rest of my family. I'm 6'1". My father is 5'7". My mother is 5'4". Chloe is barely 5'5". They all have dark brown eyes. Almost black? Mine are blue, not gray blue, not hazel. Blue. When I was 16. I asked my mother once, "Where do my eyes come from?" She stared at me like I'd crossed a line I didn't understand. "Why are you asking strange questions? That was the end of it. I learned early that some subjects close doors. Work never did. Work rewarded effort. Work made sense. 2 weeks before the IPO, my CEO, Graham Pierce, sent an email at 5:12 a.m. Timeline accelerated. IPO moved up. November 28th. We need operations audit finalized by the 15th. You're the only one I trust with this. 2 weeks earlier than planned. 3 days later, our CFO quit without notice. Everything landed on my desk. Audit coordination, compliance documentation, investor data rooms, risk disclosures, operational forecasting. 16-hour days became normal, sometimes 18. I'd leave the office at midnight, sleep 4 hours, and do it again. My doctor had warned me 6 months earlier. Your blood pressure is high for someone your age. You need to slow down. I didn't. 40 employees depended on this deal closing. If we missed the window, funding disappeared. If funding disappeared, jobs disappeared. And my stock options $280,000 would vanish with it. I told myself I could endure anything for 11 more days. The headaches started 3 days before I collapsed. A steady pressure behind my eyes. I blamed dehydration, stress, too much coffee. On November 17th, at 11:43 p.m., I was answering an investor email. The words on my screen blurred. I blinked. The letters didn't realign. I reached for my water bottle. My hand missed. I tried again. My fingers wouldn't close. Something inside my skull felt like it snapped. I remember thinking, calmly, almost clinically, "This is not stress." I tried to stand. The floor rose up instead. The last thing I saw was the cursor blinking on an unfinished sentence. Then nothing. The security guard found me at 11:52 p.m. through the hallway camera. By 12:06 a.m., I was in an ambulance. By 1:18 a.m., I was in the ER. Diagnosis: hemorrhagic stroke. The hospital called my emergency contact at 1:21 a.m. No answer. Again at 1:54 a.m., no answer. Again at 2:37 a.m., no answer. Again at 5:48 a.m., no answer. At exactly 7:00 a.m., my mother finally picked up. I don't remember any of it. I only know what the nurses told me later. Room 412. 4th floor ICU. Glass walls facing the hallway. Monitors humming in steady rhythm. The chart notes are precise. 0700. Mother notified. ETA 2.5 hours. My parents live 28 minutes from the hospital. They arrived at 9:32 a.m. They stayed 33 minutes. I know this because ICU security logs everything. Rachel, my nurse, told me the rest. My sister never came into my room. She sat in the hallway scrolling through her phone, complaining about the smell. My father stood by the window making calls. He didn't speak to the doctor. My mother met with Dr. Patel for 11 minutes. He said, "Stable, but critical. We need to monitor him closely for the next 72 hours. There's still risk." My mother heard one word, "stable," at 10:05 a.m. They left. Rachel overheard her in the hallway before they stepped into the elevator. "Stable means he's not dying right now." "Correct," my mother asked. A pause. "We can still make the flight. The tickets are non-refundable. Ethan paid for them." Another pause. "I know, but Chloe needs this. The wedding's in 3 weeks. He'll understand. He's always the responsible one." At 3:17 p.m., while I was unconscious, she left me a voicemail. 14 seconds long. "Ethan, honey, the doctor said you're stable. Your father, Chloe, and I have to go to Maui like we planned. The tickets can't be changed. I'll call the hospital every day. Just rest. Chloe needs me right now. She didn't say she loved me. She didn't say she was scared. She said Chloe needs me." At 6:41 p.m., Chloe posted an Instagram story. Airport gate, Hawaiian Airlines. My mother smiling, my sister flashing a peace sign. Caption: Maui venue weekend. Here we come. Timestamp 6:42 p.m. That's when they boarded. That same night, at 8:03 p.m., a man walked into the hospital. He asked for room 412. He said he was family. He stood outside my glass ICU door for 3 hours. And my real story began. At 8:03 p.m., Hospital cameras recorded a man entering the ICU wing. Gray suit, silver hair, late 60s, maybe early 60s. Calm posture, controlled movements. He approached the nurse's station. "I'm here for Ethan Mercer, room 412. Rachel looked at the chart. "Are you family?" Sir A. Pause. "Yes." "Name Adrian Cole." He signed the visitor log. 8:07 p.m. Adrian Cole, visitor. He walked down the hallway until he reached my room. Then he stopped. He didn't knock. He didn't ask to be let in. He didn't call for a nurse. He just stood there outside the glass door, watching. The ICU cameras timestamp everything. 8:15 p.m., still standing. 8:46 p.m. Rachel approaches him. He shakes his head. 9:30 p.m., still there. Hands in his coat pockets. 10:12 p.m., he sits in the hallway chair. Eyes never leaving the glass. 11:05 p.m., stands again. 11:09 p.m., places his palm flat against the glass for 4 full minutes. 11:19 p.m. He leaves. 3 hours and 12 minutes. Rachel told me later. "I've worked ICU for 12 years. I've seen people scream, cry, collapse. I've never seen someone stand outside a room that long, like they were afraid they didn't deserve to go inside." He came back the next night. 7:52 p.m. Same suit, same posture. This time he brought a laptop. He sat in the hallway chair and worked, glancing up every few minutes to check my monitors through the glass. At 9:34 p.m., he closed the laptop. He stood. He walked to the door. And this time he went inside. He pulled the chair next to my bed. He sat down. He didn't touch me. He just looked at my face. Rachel said he spoke quietly. She couldn't hear through the glass, but she saw his lips move. He stayed 47 minutes. Before leaving, he told Rachel something she wrote in my chart. "Patient is my son, not family, not friend, my son." He returned every night after that. No flowers, no dramatic scenes. Just presence. Rachel reviewed the visitor log on November 21st. November 18th, Adrian Cole. November 19th, Adrian Cole. November 20th, Adrian Cole. November 21st, Adrian Cole. No Linda Mercer. No Robert Mercer. No Chloe Mercer. Just one name. A man who stood outside a glass door for 3 hours because he wasn't sure he had the right to walk in. And somehow, that image became the center of everything. On the morning of November 20th, my numbers stopped improving. My blood pressure stabilized. But something else wasn't right. A follow-up CT scan showed inflammation spreading beyond the initial bleed. Secondary myocarditis. Stress-induced cardiac complication. Dr. Patel's words were clinical. "If we don't operate within 48 hours, he has roughly a 40% chance of not regaining full function. Possibly not waking at all. 40%. The surgery would cost $45,000. The hospital needed consent and a $15,000 deposit by 6:00 p.m. to secure the surgical team." Rachel called my mother, for the 7th time since I'd been admitted. This time. She answered. Rachel told me later she could hear waves in the background. Laughter, music, glasses clinking. "Mrs. Mercer. This is Rachel Dunn from Harborview Medical Center. I'm calling about your son. How is he?" my mother asked. "He's stable, but there's been a complication. He needs emergency cardiac surgery." A pause. "What kind of surgery? Cardiac intervention due to inflammation." Another pause. "How much?" Estimated $45,000. Silence. Then, "Does his insurance cover it?" Rachel kept her voice steady. "We'll need a signed consent form and a $15,000 deposit before 6:00 p.m. in the background." My sister's voice cut through. "Mom, the boat tour is leaving." My mother covered the phone, then came back on. "Email me the consent form. I'll sign electronically." "And the deposit." Another pause. "Send the bill to Ethan's address. He makes good money. He can handle it." Rachel said, her hand tightened around the phone. "Ma'am, your son is unconscious. He has savings." My mother replied, "Look, we can't just fly back. Our return tickets are Monday. Just do what you need to do." No, is he scared? No. Will he survive? Just logistics. At 3:28 p.m., the consent form came through electronically. Attached was a short note. Please ensure any remaining balance is billed directly to my son. He is financially responsible. Signed, Linda Mercer. She never asked about my survival odds. She assumed I would pay for my own surgery while in a coma. That was the moment Rachel told me something shifted for her. Some families are overwhelmed, she said. Some are scared. Yours wasn't scared. She was budgeting. 40% chance I wouldn't wake up. And her first instinct was to protect the vacation. That's when someone else stepped in. At 3:41 p.m., my CEO, Graham Pierce, called Adrian Cole. I didn't know this at the time, I learned it later. Mr. Cole, I wanted to update you, Graham said. Ethan's condition worsened. They're recommending emergency cardiac surgery. There was no hesitation. How much I'm not sure of the full, how much does the hospital need? A $15,000 deposit by 6. Total cost estimated around $45,000. ICU charges already over $90,000. A beat. I'll handle it, Adrian said. Don't mention this to anyone. At 4:12 p.m. Harborview's billing department received a wire transfer, $139,000. Memo line full payment, Ethan Mercer, room 412, anonymous, do not disclose. ICU paid, surgery paid, balance 0. When billing called to confirm, he identified himself simply as family. They asked for clarification. He paused, then said, I'm his father. Records showed Robert Mercer listed as father. The billing coordinator mentioned that. Adrian's response was quiet. There's more than one kind of father. At 6:47 a.m. the next morning, I was wheeled into surgery. 4 hours and 21 minutes under anesthesia. Adrian was already there when the surgical wing opened. He didn't pace. He didn't check his phone. He didn't make calls. He sat in a molded plastic chair beneath fluorescent lights, holding a photograph. Rachel saw him during her break. An old picture, faded at the edges. A woman laughing at something off camera. He kept running his thumb over the corner, like he was smoothing a crease that wouldn't disappear. At 11:23 a.m., Dr. Patel came out. Surgery was successful. He should regain consciousness within 24 to 48 hours. Adrian stood. For a moment, he looked like a man who had been holding his breath for 32 years. Thank you, he said. Would you like to see him in recovery? The doctor asked. A long pause. No, Adrian replied. He should see his family first when he wakes up. The doctor looked confused. Sir, you are family. Adrian gave a small, restrained smile, not the kind he knows about. And he walked back to the ICU hallway, to the chair beside the glass door, waiting. I woke up to fluorescent light and the sound of machines. The first thing I did was turn my head. The chair beside my bed was empty. No flowers, no overnight bag, no family member slumped in exhaustion, just a glass of water filled to the top, a blanket folded in sharp, deliberate lines at the foot of my bed, and a hardcover book I didn't recognize. Meditations. Marcus Aurelius. I didn't own it. Rachel walked in minutes later and froze when she saw my eyes open. You're back, she said softly. How long? 5 days. 5 days. Where's my family? She hesitated just a fraction too long. They're in Maui. They're scheduled to return Monday. I stared at the ceiling. Of course they were. The water, I said. The book. Rachel exhaled. There was someone here every night. My pulse monitor ticked faster. My father's in Maui. She met my eyes carefully. Not him. She brought me the iPad. Visitor log. My hands were still weak. I scrolled slowly. November 18th, Adrian Cole, 8:07 p.m. to 11:19 p.m. November 19th, Adrian Cole, 7:52 p.m. to 11:28 p.m. November 20th, Adrian Cole, 7:41 p.m. to 10:56 p.m. November 21st, Adrian Cole, 7:03 p.m. to 11:47 p.m. Every night. No Linda Mercer. No Robert Mercer. No Chloe Mercer. Just one name. Who is he? I asked. Rachel didn't soften it. He said he's your father. My throat went dry. That's not possible. But my mind was already running backward. The blue eyes, the height, the questions I wasn't allowed to ask at 16. I borrowed Rachel's laptop. Adrian Cole, Seattle. The results loaded fast. Adrian Bennett Cole. Age 63. Founder and CEO of Cole Capital Partners. Assets under management $2.4 billion. There was a photo, silver hair, blue eyes, my eyes. I zoomed in. Same shade, same shape. I kept searching. Cole Foundation Education Grants. I clicked. Scholarship Recipients Archive. 2011 Ethan Mercer University of Washington. 2012 Ethan Mercer University of Washington. 2015. Ethan Mercer Foster School MBA. My name. The scholarship I'd been told was random selection, the one my mother dismissed as luck. I opened the book on my bedside table. Inside the cover, handwritten, "To my son. I hope one day you understand why I stayed away. AC." My hands started shaking. I called Graham. "Who's Evergrid's largest Series A investor?" Silence. "Ethan, why are you asking that right now? Just answer." Another silence. "Cole Capital," he said finally. "They requested anonymity, and they asked to be notified immediately if anything ever happened to you." My chest felt tight for a different reason now. "He knew before you did?" I asked. "Yes." I closed my eyes. For 5 days, I thought I had been alone. I wasn't. And suddenly the story of my life was splitting in half. Family betrayal. And something else. Something that looked a lot like a father. My mother walked into the hospital lobby the following Monday at 11:28 a.m. I wasn't there to see it. Security footage was. Rachel filled in the rest. Linda Mercer had a tan, golden, fresh. 7 days of Pacific sun. She wore a white linen dress and carried a duty-free shopping bag. She walked straight to the front desk. "I'm here for my son, Ethan Mercer. I need to finalize discharge paperwork." The receptionist pulled up my file. "Of course, ma'am. Let me confirm billing status." "Billing," my mother said. "Just send any balance to Ethan. He'll handle it." The receptionist blinked at the screen. "There is no remaining balance, ma'am." "What do you mean, no balance?" "The account has been settled in full, $139,000. Silence. By insurance? No. A family member paid directly." My mother went still. "What family member? I'm not authorized to disclose that." "Show me the visitor log." The iPad changed hands. November 18th, Adrian Cole. November 19th, Adrian Cole. November 20th, Adrian Cole. November 21st, Adrian Cole. November 22nd, Adrian Cole. No Linda Mercer, no Robert Mercer, no Chloe Mercer. Rachel told me the color drained from her face. Not confusion, recognition. She dropped the iPad. It hit the tile floor. "Ma'am," the receptionist asked. My mother didn't answer. She walked toward the ICU like someone walking toward a past she thought was buried. 20 feet from room 412, she stopped. Adrian was seated in the hallway chair. Gray suit, hands folded, waiting. He looked up. Their eyes met. 32 years. Neither of them moved at first. Then Adrian stood. He didn't approach her. He just stood there. "Adrian," my mother whispered. His voice was calm, controlled. 32 years. "Linda." A pause. I stood outside that glass door every night this week. Another pause. "You were in Maui?" Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. "I stayed away because I thought he had a family." Adrian continued quietly. I was wrong. The hallway felt smaller. Rachel said, like something long deferred had finally arrived. And this time, Adrian didn't step back. He stepped toward my room. I was sitting upright when my mother walked into my room. Her skin was sun-warmed. Her expression wasn't. She looked like someone who had just seen a ghost. "We need to talk," she said. I didn't answer her. I looked past her through the glass. Adrian was standing in the hallway, waiting. I turned back to her. "Is he my father?" Silence, the kind that stretches thin and sharp. "Mom," I said evenly. "Is Adrian Cole my father?" Her shoulders dropped. "It was 1992, she whispered. "I was 23. I didn't blink. I loved him," she said. "But he was nothing back then. An engineer with no money, no stability, and then his company sent him to Singapore for 2 years. No warning. And you were pregnant." Her eyes flicked up. "Yes. And you married Dad." "I married Robert because he was safe," she said quickly. "He had a house, a job, a future. You married him because he was convenient." Her face tightened. I had 6 weeks to decide. I chose security. You chose to lie. Her breathing shifted. When Adrian came back, you were already 1 year old. I told him you were Robert's son. I told him to stay away. Did he believe you? I made him believe me, how I threatened him, she said quietly. I said if he tried to contact me again, I'd file harassment charges. I told him he had no rights. I stared at her. For 32 years, he tried again later. She admitted, through lawyers, through private investigators. I refused. I said you had a family. I laughed once. It hurt my chest. A family? She flinched. You've treated me like a mistake my entire life. That's not fair. Isn't it? I leaned back, slowly, controlling my breathing. Every time you looked at me, you saw him. Didn't you? Her silence answered that too. That's why you never defended me. Why Chloe always came first. Why I was the one who had to step up. You're the oldest, she said weakly. I'm the reminder. Her eyes filled. That's not true. 7 years, I said. $191,000. That's what I've sent you. That's what being your son costs. She opened her mouth. You let me pay for your Maui trip while I was in the ICU. You were stable. I was critical. She had no answer. He stood outside my room for 3 hours because he didn't think he had the right to walk in, I said quietly. And you got on a plane. Her composure cracked. I didn't know you knew enough. Silence settled between us. Then I asked the question that mattered. Does Dad know her face changed? No. He deserves to. Ethan, please no. I felt something in me harden into place. You're going to tell him the truth. She shook her head slightly. You're not getting the $25,000. Her lips parted. And you're not coming back here. I finished. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You don't mean that. I held her gaze. I spent my entire life trying to earn your love. I gestured toward the hallway. He didn't owe me anything, and he showed up. I swallowed once. You left. Tears slid down her face. For the first time in my life. I didn't feel the need to fix it. Go home, I said. She stood slowly. Ethan, go. She left without touching me. The glass door closed behind her, and for the first time in 32 years, I didn't feel like the one standing outside it. Adrian didn't rush in after my mother left. He waited. He knocked once on the glass. I nodded. He stepped inside like a man entering sacred ground. For a moment, we just looked at each other. Same eyes, same height, same posture when we were unsure what to say. I don't know where to begin, he said. His voice was steady, but there was strain underneath it. Not weakness. Restraint. Start with the glass, I said. Why didn't you come in the first night? He glanced at the chair beside my bed. Because I wasn't sure I had the right. 32 years condensed into that sentence. I found out you were mine when you were 10. He continued. I had a DNA test done quietly. Your mother didn't know. You waited 10 years. I respected what she told me at first. I thought you had a father. I thought disrupting your life would hurt you. And when you found out the truth, I tried to reach out. Lawyers, letters. Every door was closed. His jaw tightened slightly. So I did what I could from a distance. The scholarship, I said, yes. You invested in Evergrande, yes. Why he met my eyes directly. So I could stay close without intruding. And because I believed in you. There was no performance in his voice. No grand speech. Just fact. You were at my graduations, I asked. Back row, he said. Always. A small breath escaped me. I was married for 15 years, he added quietly. Divorced in 2018. Children, no. He didn't elaborate. I always felt, he said slowly, that I already had one. Something shifted in my chest. Not explosive, not cinematic, something heavier, solid. You could have walked away, I said, yes. Why didn't you? He thought about that. Because being denied the title didn't change the reality. A pause. I am your father, whether I was allowed to act like it or not. The room felt smaller, but not suffocating, grounded. What happens now, I asked. Adrian didn't move closer. That depends on you. He clasped his hands lightly. I'm not here to demand anything. I know I'm late. I know there are decades I can't get back. If you want space, I'll give it. If you want nothing to do with me, I'll respect that. His voice lowered. But if you're willing, I'd like to learn how to be your father. No melodrama, no pressure. Just an offer, for most of my life. Love had felt conditional, performance-based, transactional, be useful, be reliable, be the one who pays. Adrian hadn't asked me for anything. He had shown up. That was it. I don't know how to do this, I admitted. Neither do I, he said. That made me almost smile. I looked at the empty chair beside my bed, the one that had been empty for 5 days. Sit down, I said. He hesitated a fraction of a second. Then he stepped forward and sat in the chair, on the right side of the glass. For the first time in 32 years, my father was in the room, and he wasn't leaving. I was discharged on November 26th. Adrian drove me home. We didn't force conversation. We didn't pretend 32 years could be summarized in a car ride. Some things grow slowly, or they don't grow at all. The IPO went live 2 days later. Evergrid opened at $14 per share. My stock options vested at $280,000. For the first time in my adult life, I had money that was actually mine. No guilt attached, no obligation, no Sunday 6 p.m. phone call waiting to drain it. Chloe's wedding didn't happen without my $25,000 contribution. The Maui venue fell through. The scaled-down version embarrassed her fiancé's family. The engagement collapsed 3 days before the ceremony. My mother called repeatedly. After everything we've done for you, I stopped listening after that sentence. Robert found out the truth a week later. 32 years of marriage built on a lie. He didn't scream. He didn't accuse. He packed a bag and left. He called me once. I always felt something was off, he said quietly. I'm sorry I wasn't stronger. I didn't blame him. He had been lied to, too. Adrian and I started with coffee. Awkward at first. We didn't know how each other took it. We didn't know each other's rhythms. But we were learning. One afternoon, he showed me the photograph Rachel had seen him holding outside the operating room. My mother, laughing. I carried this for 32 years, he said. I thought I'd lost everything. He looked at me. I hadn't. People say family is blood, but blood didn't stay in that ICU. Blood got on a plane. Family is the person who stands outside a glass door for 3 hours because he's afraid he hasn't earned the right to walk in. Family is the one who pays your hospital bill and asks for no credit. Family is the one who stays. So ask yourself something. Who's standing outside the glass door of your life, and who's already boarding a flight to Maui? The answer changes everything. Ethan Mercer, December 2025.